Namaskar, good afternoon, and welcome to the 5th episode of the fortnightly 1-hour webinar on healthy lifestyle and wellness brought to you by IHL Wellness in collaboration with Heal Foundation. In the first segment of the discussion in this 5th episode, it will center around eating habits, sleep duration, and quality, impact on holistic health. For this, we have with us Ms. Manjari Chandra, a functional nutritionist and a wellness coach, speaker, and author. She is also the founder of Manjari Wellness. She is the author of 2 books. One is Eat Up and Clean Up, and the second is Heal with Foods. We also have with us Ms. Beena Sahai, a founder of Change Simply. She's an experienced neuro-linguistic programming practitioner and emotional wellness coach. She has hosted several transformative training and workshops for people from all walks of life, helping them to explore their inner strength. Last but not the least, we have Dr. Bhavna Barmi, a renowned child and clinical psychologist. She is a PhD holder in psychology, along with MPhil in medical and social psychology from National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Bengaluru. Welcome to all the panelists. I think we are all familiar faces on this particular platform, so I think we'll start off straight away. Now, my first question to you, Manjari, is how do you actually define eating habits? I would like you to deal with 4 categories: fussy children, glued to tab and TV, stormy teenagers, timeless office goers, and senior citizens.
Okay. So thank you for the question, Shankarji. One, it's very beautifully worded, the 4 categories. The first one, as I catch it, is fussy children. Yes, parenting has never been as challenging as it is today, with so much really happening on the platter of children. When we were growing up, there were hardly any distractions, but now the distractions outnumber the activities that they can do. So it's definitely difficult parenting. But what I think works with children, I mean, I also have grown up children, is that one of the things that children emulate is essentially what you practice, besides what you preach or try to forcibly discipline them into. So I think discipline comes from really seeing your elders and parents follow that particular thing. And so eating clean, eating at home, valuing time, valuing general life skills, talking softly to people around us, not being constantly engaged with technology are things that we can do on our own. And therefore, make it something which is easier for children to emulate and practice instead of just asking them to do that. So I think we have to set the targets by doing it ourselves. I think that's the easiest way. The second is, of course, fussy children. We have a lot of fussy children, not just because of the distractions, but also you'll be surprised, Shankarji, is that a lot of behavior that we see in children today is because of the nutritional imbalances, an excess of sugar, a deficiency of micronutrients, vitamin D, folic acid, hemoglobin, even simpler things like magnesium, zinc, iron. So nutritionally deficient and high on simple sugars and fats. That creates a lot of behavioral changes in the children also. So another way of really looking at it would be to correct the fuel that goes into their bodies, because that can align the behavior slightly better and reduce their tantrums and fussiness to some extent.
Yeah, the next category is Stormy Teenagers.
Stormy teenagers, even more difficult with their rolling eyes. But I think teenagers are very intelligent, far more intelligent than we could ever be. When I even didn't know what teenage is when I was a teenager, like really didn't understand the definition. But now the teenagers are actually young adults, and we have to treat them like young adults, and which means that from decision making to independent, of course we have to guide them, but I've realized that only guiding works, instructing doesn't work. So the right guidance is what you can do. Also, we have to make them aware. I think one thing that we are missing out is that there's a lot of information for the children, but the right information is still not there. So for teenagers, information about the hormonal changes, about the bodily changes they experience, the emotional changes they experience, the nutritional requirements that they have. This information is still not well put out to the children. There's a lot of miscommunication, wrong information that they receive. So I think as parents, it's our duty, or caretakers, it's our duty to ensure that they have the right information so that they can take better decisions.
Now, the next category, of course, is another major category which will have a lot of difficulty, in the sense we have these mothers and parents working. And you just said that they should emulate, they should set an example. But these days, what's happening is these people do not have time at all. The only thing that the children hear in the morning is, bye beta, I'm going to the office, and then the nanny or somebody would take care of them, that's all. So how do you actually, what is to be done for this particular category? One is that sort of not in tune with what the children eat, then they have their own nutritional problems. So what exactly is to be done so far as these young adults are concerned who are working?
We don't live in an ideal world. We live in a world where there are a lot of issues. I mean, we need double income families because, the standard of living, the quality of living that we want to give to us and our children requires all of us to work and contribute to the family income. So that makes it necessary, not just as a career option, but also as a financial requirement for women and men both to work. And that leaves us with nobody to look after children, and it's a difficult thing. Easier said than done, but I personally think that, the teamwork and companionship that should be there between parents is a little astray because, for whatever reasons, we are not able to come to a consensus at a point where we can meet and ensure that we don't really need to be there physically all the time for our children. But yes, we need to ensure that children feel that they are handheld, that there is somebody overlooking them, that they have an opportunity to talk and experience and discuss. So I think it's more about management and companionship and, getting to the right point and creating the right environment. I don't think it requires oodles of time. I think it requires more effort. So that I think can be done. So a little smart effort would work, I think.
You had earlier said that some of these deficiency, eating more sugar and all, can lead to behavioral changes in children. So do you find parents coming and consulting you, saying that their child, they have some abnormal behavior, or say they're hyperactive and this, and so do you do this correctional program for children also, so that what are the common problems that they have, due to food?
Yeah. One is, of course, obesity, which is, of course, rampant, in urban children. But besides obesity, their behavioral and emotional concerns also have a nutritional, causation to it. So as you correctly said, Shankarji, that then when children are eating too much of simple sugar, or they are on an overdrive of these, it causes a hormonal imbalance, insulin resistance, the thyroid's malfunctioning. So it causes a sort of a physiological change, which then reflects as a psychological or behavioral problem with the children. So many times when we look at correcting a child by disciplining him for being attention deficit, it need not be just the disciplining. You have to really go back and look at what physiologically is causing the attention deficit to happen. And if we could tweak the food into much healthier food, correct the nutritional deficiencies. A lot of children are lactose intolerant today, not because, we tend to be, as it is, lactose is not easily tolerated by humans. And the type of milk we consume now, which is highly processed, really not the correct milk, antibiotic, hormone loaded, it can create a lot of gut microbiome disruption. The food can cause the neurotransmitters to change. So therefore, going back, we do sit with children and we do explain to their parents that there is an opportunity, correct the food and correct behavior. Instead of only using cognitive behavioral therapy as the only option and disciplining as the only option, physiological changes in the food also can help. The common ones we see a lot now is children with attention deficit, children with PCOS, young girls with PCOD. We see a lot of small children who have some form of autism spectrum disorder. It may not be full-fledged autism, but parts of the ASD syndrome. So these are very common, plus children with a lot of allergies, which wasn't happening maybe 20 years earlier. So children now have allergies. They have allergies to food. They have allergies. They come with urticaria and psoriasis and skin disease and skin eruptions, which are allergenic reactions. So these are presentations that we see. And thankfully, there is a simpler way to correct them by going back to their food and, really correcting that food that they are consuming.
I'll come back to you, Manjari, because I'm really interested in your heal with food, so that because some of the problems can be solved with food. I will go on to Miss Beena. Miss Beena, you are an emotional coach. How does food or eating habits affect emotions?
Okay, so certainly, since Vedic culture, we have been, imbibing since a long time, thousands of years from the time, when the civilizations even started. Since then, we know that, food which has higher life force and which food has lesser higher, life force. So natural things like, green leafy vegetables and all, they have higher life force. Whereas anything that we consume in form of non-veg, etc., doesn't have that kind of life force. But it's just because of our taste that, and the marketing strategies that a lot of brands do around what they have to sell in the market, we are consuming that food. So now the point here is that we know that this is exactly what we have to eat. We need to eat more fruits, green vegetables, and all of that. But the point is only about thinking, then why are we not doing it? When we all know that this is exactly what we have to do. So then, that is the time when we have to take a step back and really see what's happening inside of us, which is leading to not to take those, correct actions. So what really happens is that when we do a little scan of our mind, we realize that it is because of stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, that a lot of times we tend to emotionally eat, binge eat without even knowing that, we don't want to eat, but then we just tend to open the fridge and eat something, a nice cake. Actually what was happening in the mind was I was stressed because somebody said something to me. Okay, that was happening in the back of my mind, and I just mindlessly went and took out that stuff and I ate it. So this is exactly what we really need to reflect back, that what's happening with me. Like one of my clients, she had been obese all her life. And she had tried everything under the sun to cure herself. But then when we did a little bit of scan of her emotions, we realized that when she was a small girl, her parents used to go to office and she used to feel lonely. And at that point, she used to eat a lot because she was not happy about that fact. And when she grew up as a mother of two, and her husband was in merchant navy, so he used to go to the ship and the kids would go to school. So without even realizing that, she is, that same emotion is coming back into her life at this present moment, she used to eat something or the other, which would give her instant relaxation from that negative emotion. And she was not able to realize this. So what I'm trying to tell is that if we take a step back and see, why am I gaining all this weight? Why am I emotionally eating? And do a little bit scan of what emotions are triggering me to take that. Is it boredom? Because we are living in a life where we have social media all around us. People quickly they want to see 10 things at a time, and if you're taken out of that situation, you feel bored. So a lot of people, even in office while working, they feel really bored. Sometimes it's fear. So they just tend to munch.
इसमें व्यू नहीं होगा show self.
Beena, we lost you. I'll come back to Miss Beena later on because I think she has gone. I'll come to Dr. Bami. Welcome, Dr. Bami. One thing I wanted to tell you is that we have Miss. Oh yeah. Sorry, Beena has come back. Yeah, Beena. I just wanted to ask you, what exactly is life force?
So you go into a guilt trap. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah,
Am I audible?
You're audible, yes.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible, yeah.
So once they emotionally eat, again they victimize themselves by getting into a guilt trap. That, oh my God, I don't have any self-control. I eat, all junk. So it is a vicious cycle. So this is exactly what we have to understand. What is that negative emotion that is triggering you to go and take step towards eating something unhealthy? Once we start that awareness that this is exactly what's triggering me, and I'm going and taking all that food which I don't want to take actually. I know it's not good for me, but I'm taking it. So once we are in that awareness, we can take some productive steps. We can do a lot of things to handle our emotions, and then, create an environment that supports us from taking the right action. Yeah. So the first
step,
I'll
come back to you.
Being aware. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll come back to you. I'll go to Dr. Bhavna. Dr. Bhavna, can you unmute yourself? Yeah. Am I audible?
Very much, sir.
Yeah, I think for some time I was missing your happiness background. So I was wondering what was happening, the color and the happiness studio. But anyway, I'm glad that it is back and I'm happy also. You are a renowned child and clinical psychologist. Now, eating and eating habits are a major problem among children. Now, how do you deal with this? Of course, I had asked part of this question to Manjari also. So how do you deal with these children?
See, one, I don't think we need to blow out a concern in a child's life if it is not existing. So sometimes as parents and as adults, we focus too much beyond what needs to be spoken to them about. So when we focus on the concern area, then it becomes a concern area. But when we treat it as a part of a normal lifestyle and we talk to them as eating is as we breathe, then we don't need to keep guiding them about how we need to breathe every day. It needs to be inculcated as a part of their lifestyle. And in fact, when there is an over concern with food, either it ends up in a psychological concern called anorexia or another concern called bulimia. And in fact, a lot of pediatricians actually say that it is better to have a little underweight child in one's family than to have overweight, obese children, especially in urban metro cities of India. So what is very important is to help the child understand that a good lifestyle is a part of a good life that the child is creating. And the parameters of a good lifestyle include this, especially with regards to food. They need to be told that there are 3 meals interspersed with 2 snacks, and then take an informed consent from them. That are you in sync with what we are saying, or is there something different in your mind where you feel that no, 3 meals with 2 snacks is not a good lifestyle? So the moment they start agreeing to what you're saying, not because you're saying it, because they believe in it, it will become easier psychologically, not for us, but for them to make it a part of their life.
Yeah.
So when they make informed consent on most things. So even meal choices. 1. Second thing, meal time should be a pleasure time. What is happening in times of today is, and I'm going beyond what Manjari ma'am actually gave us a lot of valuable suggestions. I'm just adding on, those suggestions need to be implemented, including being the good role model for our children. Going beyond that, the other thing is we need to make mealtime a pleasure time. A lot of times when we sit down on a dining table, it's all about the 5 colors on the plate. So those need to be there, but the focus needs to shift on something which is pleasurable. What good happened in the day, sharing of experiences, sharing of feelings, discussing some good thoughts, etc., etc. So that food intake becomes pleasurable, because even if you're taking in the best foods with the 5 colors and all the genetics and the ingredients of good food along with stress, then anyways it is not enabling the immunity system or the digestive system to do justice with that food, because the stress hormones are getting along with that. So very important to have happy food timings with informed consent of the children, and 50% of the problems will be over. So just 2 more thoughts added to what everybody on our esteemed team has just mentioned.
Yeah. So you, of course, mentioned that you need to get informed consent, talk to them, but the biggest problem is trying to build bridges with the kids. So can parents actually mentally coach their kids to keep away from snacks, pizzas, burgers, and how according to you, how can this be done?
See, one, like I think what Manjari also said, we need to be the role model. If I'm having a variety of things personally or having the availability of it, then it's telling a diabetic, we have 10 varieties of cake in front of you, but I'm coaching you and guiding you not to have it. So till my willpower is high, especially with children, have non-availability and be that good role model that they can follow. Second important thing is, you don't only need to build bridges on food. If you have a good bridge built on many, many, many other things, including your time, including your affection, including your appreciation, 3 very important bridges for that child. Trust will automatically become a cement to these 3 things. And then if we are talking to the child, talking to our child, because he already has these 3 pillars. The 4th pillar of trust, and him trusting us by saying that snacking is not good, will be more not only valued, but also trusted. Otherwise, there is defiance. So to be able to, and even if I don't want to snack as a child, I will snack because I am vacuumed of time. I've been vacuumed by my parents of appreciation, of affection, and all the good sements that was supposed to be a part of my bridge making. And now you're coming and telling me what not to do. Let's at least start with what to do. And then not to do becomes easier for the child to understand. It's like, don't put your hand in that switch. The more we say don't, the more the child will want to put their hand into that switchboard. So focus on the do. So rather than saying don't snack, focus on what can you do. What are the other good elements? Like we said, 3 meals, 2 good healthy snack breaks. So snack breaks need not be fried and packaged foods. Provide them the alternatives. Be that role model to follow those along with them and make them very fancy. Sometimes, you can have eyes made out of ketchup. Sometimes there can be so many other things that we can do creatively to create the interest and create a happy space.
Yeah. One of the topics, part of this particular topic is sleep. So Manjari, I just wanted to know, are there foods that can induce sleep, especially, people find it very difficult to sleep at night, especially the working class. So what are the foods that can induce sleep?
There is not just food, but there are some nutrients that are required for me and you to sleep peacefully. My melatonin levels should be normal. My magnesium, zinc levels should be normal. If I'm deficient in magnesium, there's a chance that my sleep will be poor. If I'm not making sufficient melatonin, which is the sleep hormone, if there's not, tryptophan, for example, is required for good sleep. Now, these things have to be part of my food itself. I think, Shankarji, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that everything that we do to ourselves none of it is done in isolation. It all becomes the part of the larger being. So what you're eating, from when you're sleeping to what you're thinking to how much you're moving to how you're reacting to situations, everything is affecting the human body physiologically, psychologically, and many other pathways. So sleep is a very big thing, I just want to just talk about the little bit of the physiology of sleep here, because a lot of parents I see are okay with their children sleeping very late in the morning and being late up, because they themselves do that. On Sundays they want to sleep till 9 or 10. Our parents never did that. They always got up at 4 or 5 or 6 in the morning. Because we want to do that, we are okay with our children doing that. But in that process of being a little lazy or just relaxing on a Sunday, you're destructing the physiology. In the morning, the body, between 4 and 7, the body makes an excess of cortisol and insulin. If I'm sleeping in that time, I'm missing that bus. So there is no cortisol to manage stress. So even little stress through the day will upset a lot of things. Whereas a person who's gotten up early in the morning has that backup of cortisol, so he has better management of stress through the day. So so it's sleeping not only affects, health indirectly, it also affects it through many other pathways. And I just another thing, just exposure to sun can affect your sleep drastically. If there is no sun exposure, the melatonin levels are low. In the morning, the body makes anti-melatonin. The best thing to do is really go out of the house in the morning so that your body can create that waking up hormone. But we've stopped doing all these things. And that's why we see such a big, epidemic of sleep disorders now, which was really not at all in India. I mean, everybody slept at 9 or 10 and got up at 4 and 5. There was absolutely nobody who did something else beyond this. And now we see this becoming, because many things are contributing to this paradigm, and not just food, but sun exposure, the timing of the sleep, when do we get up, what are we doing before sleeping? A lot of things really make a difference,
I'll go up to Beena very quickly. Now you help people explore their inner strength. That's what your series says. So how do you take the help of food to explore inner strength?
Certainly, as I said that, we really talk about a lot of life force, like foods that are really rich in life force. So that is one thing that we really tell our clients. But more importantly than that is that, just like Manjri ma'am said, that, sunlight exposure and the timings of sleep, these are all very important factors. Like, I would just like to add that, recently there had been a study where they studied that people who tend to do night shifts and wake up during nights, they are 48% more prone to cancer, because melatonin is an anti-cancerous hormone. It facilitates, it reduces the chances of having cancer in the body. And people who sleep less than 6 hours, they are 50% more prone to cardiovascular diseases and 15% more prone to strokes. So, then there is a real correlation between our sleep and the quality of our life. So how we sleep, what is the quality of sleep, the number of hours, everything matters. And what I would really like to add here is that being mindful about that, and how you create an environment in your house, really cherishing the fact that we are going to give rest to our body, and carrying it as a badge. Like these days I see a lot of people really take a lot of pride in saying that, I just sleep 5 hours in a day, I just sleep 6 hours, but I'm so efficient and productive. But what I'm trying to tell you is, in long run, you are doing the worst thing possible to yourself. So as we parents and our kids and everybody for that matter, we must really cherish this fact and inculcate it in our own mind and in the society, that we are doing a lot of value and service to ourselves by sleeping and taking a good night's sleep.
Okay, I think Dr. Bhavna, you have some other appointment. I think you wanted to go early. So I'll just ask you one more question. The question is, it is generally said you are what you eat. So what's your comment on this?
Yeah, I would completely agree on that. You are what you eat. And these days we are eating a lot of our thoughts. So there is food for thought beyond food for nutrition. So I would just pick on what Veena just said. I think we need to be very, very mindful of what we are eating and what thoughts are we giving to our body, mind, and soul. And I think if those thoughts are positive, those thoughts have got hope, those thoughts have got productivity, they've got creativity, then we are what we make of our food. We are what we eat. And I think sleep is an essential component of what we eat, because I think the discussion is so valuable that it is very, very important for us to eat all the right ingredients and make the most of the lifestyle that we create. And then definitely we become what we eat. Because when we speak of sleep and we speak of sleep deprivation, then it actually causes a plethora of concerns. Beyond physical health, it impacts mental health. And two things that come out very, very clearly because of sleep deprivation, or what we call as insomnias, is depression and anxiety. So beyond all the other good things that sleep brings to us, sleep deprivation also adds to these mental health concerns.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wonderful thoughts from your side. And I once again appreciate the Happiness Studio background that you have. It always makes us happy when we see that. Thank you very much, Dr. Bhavani. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
We will move on to the next session. Ms. Manjari and Ms. Beena, please stay back because we will have some questions on that also. Now, our second session is on preventive health checkups at workplace. This is another important topic. To discuss this important topic, we have with us Ms. Nivedita Dubey, who has over 25 years of diverse experience spanning from airport operations to human resource management. Presently, she's working as General Manager HR with Airports Authority of India at the corporate headquarters and handles industrial relations, training, and staff welfare and compliances. She's also actively involved with the cause of animal rights. Joining us later on would be Dr. Sonia Rawat, who is currently the Director at Department of Preventive Health and Wellness, Sir Gangaram Hospitals, New Delhi. Now, I will start with Ms. Nivedita. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Mr. Shankar.
My first question is, how important is preventive health checkup at workplace, especially during these times of stress, obesity, and other lifestyle problems?
Well, I consider that the preventive health checks are of utmost importance during these times. We traditionally we've had the system of preventive health checks even prior to the pandemic, but post the pandemic, the employee concerns over their health has increased. So within Airports Authority of India, we have a very attractive medical policy, which we are giving reimbursement or inpatient and outpatient treatments for our employees. And we have preventive health checks for all employees who are over the age of 50 years, whether they are executives or non-executives.
Now, you spoke about the times of COVID. I think one of the major problems, one of the area sectors affected was the airports. You had major concerns about that. So how exactly did you go about, trying to prevent the spread of the virus, the spread of ailments in airports?
Is this question specific for our employees or for the airports in general? Because we have around
airports in general. You can speak about specific also, how you took the steps, and plus also the airports.
Well, within our offices, we have all India presence. We have airports at say 130 locations, and we have corporate office at Delhi, and we have regional headquarters at 5 regions like Chennai, Mumbai, Guwahati, Calcutta, and Bombay. So within these our offices, we have the system of we had incorporated the system of regular sanitization of the offices. We were issuing advisories to our employees for the maintaining the COVID protocols. Time to time, the circulars were issued. We have signages placed at all the strategic places so that the employees can refer to those and they get, they're reminded again and again that what conduct they have to follow for avoiding the spread of the virus. Like near the biometric system, we had suspended the biometric the attendance system at that point of time, which we, of course, we have. And at the airports, we had a different protocol. Like for if you would see any airport, the flow of passenger movement within the airport starts from the city side. Right from the city side, we have had the signages. Then at the screening points where the CISF person is screening the people who are entering into the terminal building, we have glass screens placed over there. We have dispensed with the system of paper boarding cards. So likewise, we have taken a number of steps, and social distancing, for maintaining the social distancing within the airports, we have made those markings, the chairs were marked, the queue areas were marked. So this is how we have taken care to avoid the spread of the virus.
Yeah, next question is, that nothing to do with COVID, but this is incentivize achieving proper targets for sugar, cholesterol, hypertension, obesity control. Is this practical?
Pardon, I really couldn't get your question. Could you repeat it for me?
Incentivize employees for achieving proper targets for sugar, cholesterol, hypertension, and obesity control. Is this practical?
Yes, it is practical in the sense that for our employees who are, at the E8 level or E9 level, the GMs and the executive directors, we have the system of annual health check for those people, which is part of their performance appraisal. This is incorporated in the performance appraisal. So it is a motivation for the employees to adhere to, their health checkups and preventive things to maintain their sugar levels and their cholesterol level. Yeah.
You're actually in this era of how often should these checkups be done? You said annual, of course, but for youngsters, should it be done 1 in 6 months, especially since doctors say that long COVID is a big major problem. So it is better to have once in 6 months. So have you changed that aspect, or it's still annual?
No, we haven't changed that aspect.
Yeah, but you advise that, since we have a big question mark on long COVID, this should be done once in 6 months at least.
So it is open for the employees if they want to go in for further tests and test over and above what is mandated for them as part of their PMS or their work requirement. It is open for them. And we have a reimbursement scheme for the tests as well. So no issue with that. And we have empaneled a number of pathological labs and hospitals for that. So our employees are safe that way.
So we are now actually in the era of self-monitoring. We have various gadgets to measure heart rate, BP, and implantables to check sugar levels 24/7. Has this led to better awareness on preventing major health problems?
Yes, definitely, I do believe so.
And do employees go in for this?
Yes, we had been encouraging our employees to, at least during the pandemic, to buy these gadgets and keep them at home for self-monitoring. Yeah, we also have devices and artificial intelligence to predict what ailments an employee would get by the age of 40. Now, this is advantageous because employers can help employees to take corrective measures. But the other side is that the information could sometimes be used to the disadvantage of employees, both by the employer and insurers. So what's your comment on this? We haven't really gone into that area as of now. Not you. I'm speaking of general, not about airports. Your comment on general aspect about corporate health, about corporate world, about the employer-employee relationship and health and insurance. Yeah. So you are talking about the use of artificial intelligence for predicting the health issues. Yeah, now you have devices which can say that a person who reaches, say, suppose he's checked up and he has certain blood parameters that he might develop probably hypertension, or he might develop diabetes by this particular age. And this information is available at present to the employee. Now, can this be used to the disadvantage of the employee by if it goes into the hands of the employer? So what should be done exactly? Should there be a sort of safety mechanism? I don't think it can be used to the disadvantage of the employee, because at the end of the day, it is the employee who stands to benefit by getting this kind of input.
No, I'm not speaking that way, because you see, there is a study actually published saying that when this information is available, the employees are a bit careful that this person might not become productive out of 40. So naturally, there will be a small sort of hurdle that comes in his way, and then there is a tendency of recruiting younger people. So that was the context in which I asked. Of course, employers are very careful, at least in India, that they don't do this. So is there a possibility of this happening? I'm not saying that it is happening.
I don't think so.
Okay, since you are in HR, I was very keen finding out what exactly is this.
Definitely not. See, it all depends on the kind of employment that the person is in. If a person is engaged in a position which requires a certain level of medical fitness, so in any case, he will be alert to maintain his medical standards.
Yeah.
And getting this kind of input will only help the employer to position him to a different location. It can't be used to his disadvantage. I'm sure.
I will come back to you. I'll just ask a question to Manjari. Ms. Manjari, my question to you is, in the corporate world, should actually there be nutrition coaches in the offices to see that people eat nutritious food, wellness food, and also I think there are companies that have banned certain types of foods that create a lot of sugar, high sugar levels, and all these things. So, what is your advice that companies should go in for such nutritional coaches?
I think everybody should look at what they're eating. The bit is that we really don't need too many scientific people. I think we've stopped using our common sense enough. We could just go back to our basics and use our common sense enough. I think another thing, Shankarji, is that when companies, and whatever I have seen, because I work and do workshops with a lot of corporates, I've seen is that when they do implement these changes and they do want their employees to be very, very healthy, sometimes these changes become very cosmetic in nature. The changes, as you said, they ban certain types of foods or they just remove certain types of foods. But overall, there is no major overhaul with what is being served or what is being really given to the employees. I think there is a much deeper help required, not just about information and help available, where a person can go and check with a professional what he or she should be doing for a certain health condition, but also with how companies can really, focus on health becoming one of the parameters for a better career. Because as of now, it's very cosmetic in nature. I feel it is done, but it's not done as well as it should be done. So nothing, of course, policymakers are already working on it. Having a nutritionist does help at office. How many people go to her for advice is I don't know, but yeah, I think having somebody informed would definitely help, at least for people who are keen. We should, and let's make more serious goals. And I can just give you a very small example. My husband works for the Indian Army, so now he's just retired. So in the Army, these type of medical tests are really rigorous, especially when you have to get into something which is like a commando training or a para commando or a para jumper or a sailor, things like that. They're really rigorous. So then what happens is that they have no option but to be cutthroat, very good with their food, their exercise, their fitness, because they have no option but to maintain that sort of physical health besides mental health, of course. So I think a little bit more thrust on health and wellness, besides just the talk about it, a little bit more focus there would really help.
Thank you. I'll come back to Ms. Beena a bit later. I'm interested in training workshops that you hold for, I'll come back to you. But I'll ask Ms. Nivedita Dubey one question. Is about, what's your opinion on hybrid working arrangement?
I'm totally for the hybrid working arrangement. During the pandemic, we had totally shifted for some point of time to the virtual mode of working. But the airports, as you know, they have to function with the manpower and position. They cannot work in the virtual mode. So we are okay with the hybrid mode, where the people who are working from the offices or their support functions they can do from on the virtual mode, and the others, the ones who have to be at the airport, like the fire and rescue services or the air traffic control, the CNS department, they all have to be at the terminal managers. So that is how we have been working post the pandemic, and our employees have taken it very, very positively, and they have updated themselves. They've become. And since we are a public utility organization and we cannot afford to have lesser number of people at the airports, the X number of people are required at each airport for it to function properly. So likewise, we have adapted our working conditions and the working hours and the system of working.
Of course, I completely agree with you that people who are in the operations part of it cannot go into a hybrid mode, because we have no system of a virtual takeoff or a virtual landing. I think so. Those who are actually will have to have can opt for that, but others, of course, will have to be on the job or on the wheel or whatever. There is also one tricky question which I wanted to ask you, is that there are various studies. Of course, I'm not speaking about airports this time. I'm speaking about general working and so on. That if the 3-week working arrangement is supposed to increase productivity, according to some studies. Some people say no, this is not done. So what's your opinion on this? Because especially people lack sleep, people lack time for the family. So they say 3 days work, 3 then rest, you have holiday or whatever it is. And then, so what is your opinion on this?
I would say it would totally depends on the type of industry that we are talking about. Like you rightly said that for the airports, we are not talking about this. But yes, in general, I feel that it is very important for the people to strike a work-life balance. And it might be a good idea to let people work for extended hours or for 3 or 4 days, whatever it is, and get some time off to attend to their personal responsibilities and spend time on their own development on the other days. So it is a good idea out of the context of the airports I'm talking.
Yeah. Of course, I mean in the corporate world, because they are the people who work and stressed out. They don't eat well. I'm not at all speaking about the airports as well, because you need to work 24/7, and it is
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Nirati. I'll come back to you later on. I think Dr. Sonia has joined us. Dr. Sonia, are you available?
Yes, sir. I'm there.
Okay. Fine.
I'm traveling, going for another meeting. So it's okay, sir. There is a strong possibility that the signal may not be too good, but I'm looking forward to answering all your questions.
Okay. Now, this is a question which I had asked earlier because we had come a bit late. So we actually now live in an era of self-monitoring. We have various gadgets to measure heart rate, BP, and implantables to check sugar levels 24/7. Has this led to better awareness of preventing major health problems?
Yes, definitely. जिसको कहते हैं ना कि बीमारी को बीमार होने से पहले पकड़ें, तो हम सिम्टम्स तो देख ही रहे हैं ना किसी भी चीज का। जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आपकी जब गाड़ी खराब होती है तो पहले वो साइन देती है कि भाई कुछ आवाज आ रही है, कुछ लाइटें जल रही हैं, कुछ प्रॉब्लम शुरू हो रही है। सिमिलरली हमारी बॉडी भी जब प्रॉब्लम इसकी आती है, मेजर प्रॉब्लम्स आती हैं लाइक हार्ट स्ट्रोक जिसको हम कहते हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली धीरे-धीरे कुछ वार्निंग साइंस हमें मिलने शुरू हो जाते हैं इन द फॉर्म ऑफ सिम्पटम्स एंड साइंस बोथ.
So,
to answer to your question, obviously, if you're catching the signs early, we will be able to act on them early. And obviously, with our country being 130 or 140 crore, obviously interventions will be very expensive. So it is better to catch the disease early and to treat on it so that it will be less. Also the treatment, the prevention will definitely be better than cure. So catch the disease as early as possible by the gadgets that you just mentioned.
So what do you think should be the preventive strategies that companies and others and individuals should adopt in order to prevent major diseases ahead?
See, diabetes and blood pressure are the silent killers. So basically, just a quick blood pressure check on a regular basis, and maybe once a week, and a quick blood sugar test once a week, because these are the silent killers which people, they do not know. They come to know only after 10 or 15 years down the line, when they end up into the hospital with a big heart attack or with a big stroke, and then they find out, oh, मैं तो diabetic था, या मुझे तो blood pressure है, इतना ज्यादा blood pressure है. Because क्या होता है कि उनकी body used to हो जाती है with that high blood pressure. The body gets used to, तो उनके जो symptoms है वो सारे mask हो जाते हैं. So they are asymptomatic, but still they are high diabetics and still they are high blood hypertensives. So अगर हम सिर्फ simple test like blood pressure and diabetes शुगर टेस्ट भी हफ्ते में एक दिन कर लें या 15 दिन में एक दिन कर लें एम्प्लॉइज का, सो डेफिनेटली जो ROI है हमारा, रिटर्न ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट, कि वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इन द इंक्रीज प्रोडक्टिविटी इन द लॉन्ग रन, एंड वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट decrease absenteeism, and we are talking about say for example, if an employee joins at age 25 and he develops, say for example, with his neglect or with his lifestyle, he develops lifestyle diseases such as high blood pressure and diabetes, say for example at the age of 45 years he ends up in the hospital, the company will obviously have to pay a lot of money than just doing these tests on a regular basis. Say every 15 days the company is doing blood pressure checks and maybe diabetic checks on all their patients every 15, on all their employees every 15 days. It will make a big difference.
This is more relevant now because after COVID, we see a lot of COVID-induced hypertension, COVID-induced diabetes, all this happening. So I think this frequent checkups would be...
Sir, COVID again, you must have seen that COVID उन लोगों में, अब देखिए आप, हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं कि जो हमारे slum dwellers हैं, उनमें COVID आके निकल जाता है. Why? Because they are not eating all these fast foods on a regular basis. They're eating their simple roti, dal, sabzi. They're eating their onions on a regular basis. All these immunity boosting drugs they are having on a regular basis. They are not obese. वो लोग exercise करते हैं. They are laborers. They exercise in the sense automatically exercise हो जाती है उनकी, पैदल चलते हैं या साइकिल से जाते हैं. So कोविड में भी आपने देखा होगा कि इन लोगों को इफेक्ट नहीं किया बिकॉज उनकी नेचुरल इम्यूनिटी ही बहुत ज्यादा थी. नंबर 1. नंबर 2, जो कोविड का आपने देखा प्रोग्नोसिस, अकॉर्डिंग टू द डिजीज के, किसी को कोविड तो वो जल्दी ठीक हो रहा है या उसको कॉम्प्लिकेशन ज्यादा हो गए, वो सब आपने देखा होगा बियर बेली, जिनकी बियर बेली है भाई ज्यादा उनके पेट में, तो ऐसे लोग उनका प्रोग्नोसिस बहुत पुअर रहा है. उनका प्रोग्नोसिस पुअर इन द सेंस दैट वो लोग हार्ट अटैक या उन लोगों की डेथ्स, मोर्टेलिटी रेट्स, हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन रेट्स एंड मोर्बिडिटी रेट्स बहुत ज्यादा रही हैं कोरोना के दौरान. तो ये सारा इंटरलिंक्ड है सर. दिस इज ऑल इंटरलिंक्ड टू द लाइफस्टाइल दैट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, द वेलनेस वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, the checks that we are talking about. So this is, if you go in depth, तो आप देखेंगे कि we obviously are sitting again on an emotional time bomb, like you just mentioned, 3 days work and 3 days rest. So this is very important. How much stress these people can actually overcome, or how much stress they can deal with. This is another function, another topic which we can just keep on speaking, because as you know, chinta chita ki jad. So we can keep on saying about all these things, but overall the crux of the situation is definitely prevention should be there, and prevention is definitely better than cure, whether it's a corporate world or it's a day-to-day world, it's a small colony, whatever. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think there were a bit of breaks here and there because you are traveling, but anyway, we got most of the points that you had said. Thank you very much for attending our webinar. Though
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'll come to Ms. Bina Sahai. You have hosted several transformative training workshops for people. Can you exactly tell me what exactly are these transformative workshops?
Basically, these transformative workshops are all related mostly to the mind work, because we have become so much victimized by our own thoughts, and these thoughts, they prepare an environment inside our body. The chemicals, whatever I think in my mind, that produces a kind of chemical in my body, and this chemical gives an environment to my cells to generate further, because cells production is happening every moment. A lot of cells are being made, but my thoughts are triggering the environment of these cells. So what is it? Am I giving the right direction to my thoughts? Am I supplying the right chemicals to my body, or I am just lost in this chaos of life? So when we just don't know what's happening in my mind, we think everything is okay on the surface, but a little fever in the child and the mother is fretting about it. Rather than telling herself that, okay, it's a little fever, I am taking the precautions, the child will be okay in some time, I am just going on and on telling, oh my God, what will happen to my child? Oh my God. And these thoughts, mindlessly, we are, giving to ourselves. We don't know what's happening in our mind. So these little things, these little thoughts, they are creating our life. They are creating you. They are creating me. And what I have to create for myself will totally depend on what I'm thinking in my mind. There has been a lot of studies, on this topic. There is a scientist by the name Dr. Bruce Lipton. In the last 50 years, he studied extensively on what kind of chemicals are released. So it's all how our thoughts work. It's all how we are giving direction to our mind. Are we giving the right direction, or we are taking us in wherever life? So we are living a responsive life, or we are just reacting to life. That awareness, once when starts happening, that we know, okay, I'm reacting right now with life, and I have to go to a stage where I respond to life. I know there will be always some problem or the other in our life, but how we are I am doing when I'm put in that situation, that will matter all in terms of my health, in terms of my mental stability, in terms of my well-being, in terms of my relationship with other people and society in general. So essentially, this is what we do in our workshop. We teach people how to take them from a negative place to a positive place and transform their life from there.
Very interesting. I think we should have one particular session on this transformation, because this is very relevant in these days. Ms. Nivedita, I'll just ask one last question to you. Is in the airport scenario, do you see a lot of sleep deprivation, and how do you deal with it, especially from the operational part of it?
There is no sleep deprivation because we are compensating the work hours accordingly. And we have time periods for the employees to de-stress. And we have facilities in place to help them de-stress.
Fine. So this is taken care of.
Basically, all our rosters are so planned so that people are not sleep deprived.
That's excellent. Because this is one of the major causes, even in corporate world also. But I think they're starting a sort of a mechanism where they can compensate so that the body recovers from this one. Thank you very much.
Yes,
pardon?
It's okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So one last question to Manjari. Manjari, of course, Ms. Nivedita answered about sleep deprivation, but how do you deal with this in the corporate world?
I think many of the times people, they just got used to a pattern, Mr. Shankar. I think there is not much thought put into how they can improve their sleep. It's just acceptable for people to work very late hours and report and come back with Excel sheets and presentations at any odd time in the night. And that seems to be a form of a KRA for work, now in the corporate setup. that's obviously not healthy. And I don't know. I mean, I think the best example we have is I have read about this also, that, the person who made the metro in Delhi made it much before the finish time of the project. He actually achieved it. And it said that he never worked after 6 p.m. in his office and did not allow his people also to work after that. So there's a lot of learning from good leaders. I think the problem with sleep is that people do not get a chance to sleep on time because they're expected to report back at odd hours, and they're expected to be always available for work and call. And of course, with American clients and, clients across the world, there are time zones that they have to handle. I think policy making at the corporate level has to be taken into account. Besides the fact that individually people have to, assert their own health, because everybody gets caught up. This guy is doing it, so why shouldn't I? Because they all get caught up in that rat race. So individually, we have to start asserting basics of our health. The basics of movement, of sleep, of good food, of a peaceful environment, of a parasympathetic nervous system, which is more engaged really, is what I think is a basic human right. And I think education and information, if we can't do that for ourselves and our people around us, then, because at least with the pandemic, all of us have realized that, there's nothing more important than being healthy after a point of time, So sleep is, and I think I've been reading a lot about this, and I'm sure everybody has been, but sleep and the circadian rhythm is going to be the next big thing in wellness. It already is becoming, and there's going to be more and more research there. So.
That's right.
Sir, can I add to whatever Madam has just said?
Yeah, please.
So what she just said, that is very good. But we talk about, especially in my patients, I talk about what we say sleep hygiene. What is sleep hygiene is, we have to actually first practice it ourselves. So have say, for example, a fixed time when you're going to sleep and we are getting up. So say, for example, if I'm going to sleep at 11 o'clock at night, then I will follow that pattern every day. पहले दिन आपको नींद नहीं आएगी, दूसरे दिन नींद नहीं आएगी, तीसरे दिन, चौथे दिन, धीरे धीरे आपकी आदत जब बन जाएगी, आपकी बॉडी यूज्ड टू हो जाएगी. स्लीप हाइजीन ऑल्सो इन्वॉल्व्स कि आप कुछ भी जैसे प्रोडक्ट्स होते हैं, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल टी, कॉफी, अल्कोहल विच आर स्टिमुलेटिंग प्रोडक्ट्स, वो आप रात में नहीं लेंगे. दूसरी चीज, आप थोड़ा सा लाइट बाथ वगैरह ले सकते हैं, थोड़ा वार्म बाथ ले सकते हैं, और इसके साथ साथ आप थोड़ा स्ट्रोल कर सकते हैं, नॉट फास्ट वॉकिंग बट स्ट्रोलिंग. दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन द स्लीप हाइजीन. The other thing is, we should only use our bedroom for sleep. We should not use it for other things like watching TV or reading or whatever. And अगर आपको नींद नहीं आ रही है रात में, for example, don't fight with it कि मुझे नींद नहीं आ रही. Okay, fine. नींद नहीं आ रही, just get up. Go to the other room, do something else, start reading, or start looking at watch a movie, or
I think we lost connection with Dr. Sonia. I think
Yes.
We could hear you in between, but we are running short of time. But I will tell you my trick. What I use is to get sleep is to read the most boring book, and that puts me on.
That's what I'm saying, sir. That's what I'm saying. So you have to not read anything which is stimulating you. You have to read something which is like boring you types.
And thanks to Google, if you search for boring books, you can get 100 of them. And I think I just have I hardly reach the fringes of 5% of it. So I have a long way to catch up with my sleep also. So thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So I always say, okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing I want to add towards the end, apart from all the great things, there is an app called f.lux. Okay, so if we download this app f.lux on our phone, it prevents blue light from coming out. So download that, guys, and even if we can download in the gadgets that our children are using, because blue light really inhibits a lot of sleep. So this is a great app to use. So I think it should be helpful for everyone.
Thank you very much. I think in future we'll have another app that can put you to sleep. I think that is not very far off. You tie it and then it'll sing a lullaby or something and put you back to sleep. I think that's the idea that is coming. Thank you very much, all the wonderful panelists. I think we ran short of time, but it was excellent having a lot of perspective on different fields, from doctors, nutritionists, airport, all these things put together, and it was a wonderful gathering. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Everyone. Thank you.